Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video updated on Tuesday the 5th of December. Now, winter has had a few goes at us so far this season, but the hit of cold air that's coming in for this weekend is the most significant yet, starting really from Thursday as the winds turn north-northwesterly. Bitterly cold air coming down from the Arctic, severe extreme wind chill even where you're exposed across the higher tops. Some significant snowfalls on the way, and that coming down to the lowest levels. Tricky with details through the weekend, particularly Sunday, as a little area of low pressure runs southeastwards across the country, could give extensive snowfalls even widely across northern England. We'll have a look at those charts in a moment. Let's start with temperatures though, and this is the 850 millibar chart. It's a technical forecaster's chart, which is a constant pressure, and that is found at around 4,500 to 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. But it's a useful steer to the temperatures on the highest Scottish summits. In the short term, it's fairly mild, with temperatures 3 to 5 Celsius as we go through Wednesday, but big changes through Thursday as fronts sweep through an active area of low pressure, storm system that is sweeping through. Very cold air follows behind it, so you're well below freezing by the end of the day. And as you run through into Friday, look at those temperatures down to -10 or below across the higher tops in Scotland. Extreme wind chill then, those gale force northwesterly winds, really serious conditions up on the mountains. And it stays very cold through into the weekend. Not too much change in temperatures, lifting a degree or so maybe as that direct Arctic airflow just eases somewhat. Here's a little area of low pressure running in from the Atlantic through into Sunday, which gives the scope for some action of snow across northern England, and broadly stays cold as we run on into next week. I'll just run the sequence through. It stays at sub-zero, well down below freezing on the higher Scottish Munros right the way through. Difficulty with detail later next week, but the idea for much of the week looks a pretty cold pattern. This chart shows snowfall accumulation, and we track things from Thursday onwards as the activity begins to happen, and very quickly settling to low levels in northern and western Scotland as showers move in from the northwest. By the end of Thursday, overnight into Friday, snow showers coming down into northwest England, North Wales. And really that story will just continue through into the weekend. It may well be most of the Pennines in the eastern side of Scotland, and the Highlands towards the central belt see very little because she's sheltered from that north-northwesterly flow. But could be some significant accumulations running into the Western Peak District as shower bands come in off the Irish Sea. North Wales likewise, particularly significant accumulations northwest Highlands of Scotland and into the Cairngorms as well. Just to go into Sunday, that's where suddenly we see a jump as that area of low pressure runs in, and the scope for more widespread frontal rain and snow. And across most of the hills it may well be snow across northern England. The Pennines Lake District particularly looking vulnerable to that one. There's still a little bit of wriggle room in terms of the detail for Sunday at this stage. Don't assume the charts we've got at the moment are absolutely set in stone, but it does look as though we've got the prospect of some significant snowfall on the way. Let's just run through these charts. Then here's Wednesday first of all, just to skim through the details. We've got a strong south-southwesterly. It's a severe gale force on most of the mountains, 60-70 miles per hour on higher tops, with rain increasingly persistent across the western mountains. Those big temperature changes then take place through into Thursday. This potent area of low pressure that drives eastwards will push a cold front quickly across England and Wales. That'll clear with brighter skies following, but then clusters of heavy showers following in. And those of snow and hail increasingly down to low levels, particularly across Scotland, giving blizzard conditions across the Highlands, and that snow accumulating to low levels. As the low drags itself eastwards, we've got then storm force winds across the mountains. Could well be winds 70, 80, even towards 100 miles per hour in squally showers that do rattle through. So a very difficult day, a dangerous day where you're exposed. Friday sees a strong northwesterly flow, then it's still gale force on the mountains. That wind chill factor is extreme where you're exposed to it, and we've got shower bands just feeding down the Irish Sea, North Wales into the Western Peak District as we mentioned, northern Scotland too in the firing line for constant snow and hail, deeply unstable air with some thunder and lightning possible in those heavier showers. From central southern Scotland southwards down the Lake District and maybe much of the central Pennines, you may be just avoiding the showers and seeing a bright day, but don't rule out the odd cluster of heavy showers even here. Similar sort of setup into Saturday, those shower bands of snow and hail feeding in again around exposed coast, northern Scotland particularly prone to those. Pressure briefly building in from the west, and we may well then see a hard frost as we go through into Saturday night. We run the charts on in 6-hour steps though. Just notice what's coming out over the Atlantic. We've got fronts driving in as pressure begins to fall once again. And that zone of precipitation extending towards many western areas of Britain through into Sunday morning on its leading edge as it's engaging with that cold air, widely coming down to low levels of snow. So that's the latest chart we've got for Sunday daytime, and it's exactly where the track of that low goes that is critical in terms of how much of the relatively milder air, which is engaged within this warmer sector, how far north that gets. And it may well be all it does is skirt parts of Wales, central southwest England, and everything to the north of that is therefore falling as snow because that low is running through the cold air mass. So central southern Scotland possibly, most likely at this stage for the Lakes and the Pennines, maybe North Wales too, the air cold enough for snow to very low levels and accumulating to low levels too. And just to finish with, into next week, broadly cold air is likely to stay with us. A generally cyclonic northerly pattern is in charge, so cold air mass is still across the country, with some further showers. Snow and hail maybe at times, maybe not quite as potent and as active as at the end of this week. And then just various zones of low pressure trying to come off the Atlantic, trying to nudge in and trying to usher in some slightly milder air. It will struggle to do so, I would have thought, for most of the week. So all in all then, I think you're working on the idea of terrain widely frozen from low levels up and little, if any, thawing as the week progresses. So it's one to keep a very close eye on the details over the week ahead. You can do that every single day in all our forecasts updated at the Mountain Weather Information Service. We'll update our shorter range videos as well, and you can follow us on our social media accounts. Stay safe on the mountains then in these wintry conditions ahead. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.